Hi everyone, The Conversation with Nadine Matheson is currently on a little summer break, but don't worry, I'll be back with brand new episodes in September. But in the meantime, I'll be sharing some fan favourite episodes from season 3, along with a few special conversations from Page 1, the writers' podcast that I think you'll really enjoy. Thank you so much for all your support throughout season 3. It's been amazing to see the podcast grow, and I'm truly grateful to everyone who's listened, shared and supported us, especially those of you who've bought me a cup of coffee on Ko-fi. It really does make a difference. Now, as always, sit back, we'll go for a walk and enjoy this summer break conversation.
For me, I don't think anything should be off limits, because it's also all in the writing of it, right? Like you could write about anything, but it depends how you write it.
Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of The Conversation with Nadine Matheson. I know you normally get an episode every Tuesday, but if you carry on listening after we say our goodbyes and our thank yous at the end of the conversation, you listen to the outro, you will know that I always say to you that there will be a new episode every Tuesday, and sometimes there'll be a bonus episode. And here it is, your bonus episode of The Conversation. Now, The Conversation season 3 doesn't end until July, but I've been having loads of conversations with amazing guests over the past few months, and I need to make sure that you hear all of these conversations. So what I plan to do is every month until the end of season 3, I will give you a bonus episode. And today's bonus episode features my conversation with author Tariq Ashkanani. Now, Tariq is an award-winning author. In 2022, his novel Welcome to Cooper won the Bloody Scotland debut prize, and it was also shortlisted for the CWA New Blood, Dagger and a Capital Crime Fingerprint Award. And Tariq's new novel, The Midnight King, is out today in hardback. And if you follow my social media, so if you'd seen my Blue Sky account and my Instagram around, I think, November last year, I was reading The Midnight King because I was lucky enough to get a proof copy. And it is so deliciously dark. It's one of my favourite thrillers of this year, and I think everyone should get it. So that's The Midnight King, which is out today. And in our conversation, Tariq and I talk about the dark side of storytelling, the surprising reality of being a published author, and what it really means to follow your passions. Now, as always, sit back, we'll go for a walk and enjoy the conversation. Tariq Ashkanani, welcome to The Conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. The reason why I'm very joyful, because Tariq and I were just chatting away about everything and realised maybe we should start officially recording this.
Too many video games to get through, that's the problem.
I know, we're talking about video games. It's all storytelling though, isn't it?
It's all storytelling. Would you like to write a video game? Is that something you'd quite like to get involved in?
I would. Who have I spoken to that? I think Greg Buchanan. He writes video game. He wrote oh my God, I've forgotten his book now. Was it Consumed? I think it was Consumed.
I definitely know his name.
Yeah, I think it was.
What game is he written? Is that the game?
I can't remember. No. He wrote the book Consumed, but
right.
he does video games as well. And he has, if you, I know we've already gone off on a tangent, but if you come on his like on his Blue Sky and I think on his Substack as well, he's got all this writing for video games information.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So seeing as you'd love to write a game, I can't even speak now. As you'd like to write a game, when did you know, Tariq, that you could tell a story? Not just write, but tell a story.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good way of looking at it. So probably high school. I reckon probably high school English. I think the kind of creative writing part. That was always my favourite part of English.
Yeah,
I always loved English class and stuff in high school, but the creative writing parts and that part of the exam stuff I always loved the most. And I think it was probably that point in like S4, S5, which, what is that down south? Like, how old would it have been?
How old are you? That's where we'll work it out. Okay, so
15, 16 probably. Like
year 11 for us.
Year 11. How many years do you guys have down south?
From secondary school, it's 5.
So what's the last year?
Yeah, when I started school, it was first year, second year, third year, up to 5th year. And then when I went to the 3rd year, it changed when I went to the 4th year, it then changed. So it became year 10 was the 4th year.
So and then they run that from like primary school?
Yeah, now it runs all the way from primary school all the way up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha, okay. needless.
very
Well, actually,
annoying.
maybe it's similar. Maybe that's more straightforward. Anyway, I was like 15, 16, I think. That was the point.
Yeah.
And I always loved writing. I always loved, I always say I had the saddest Boy Scouts badge ever, which was a writing badge. And everyone else in my troop or whatever was doing like, knots and like first aid and like stitching up wounds or whatever. I don't know what they were doing. And I was like in the corner writing like, Star Trek fan fiction in a notebook.
And I gave you a badge for that.
I got a badge for it. Yeah, that was pretty good. So I think that's I always loved writing, but it's probably kind of 15, 16 when I kind of started to actually write like kind of original like stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't like rip off of other TV shows I was watching.
Did your teacher tell you could write? Because I just suddenly had this memory of Mrs. Taylor, who was my English teacher, telling my mum, it was parents' evening. Yeah, she can write. Like you can hear the characters, like really hear them.
It was similar. It was definitely a teacher saying something like, you've got this is like you're good at this. This is something you're good at. You've got like a natural talent or whatever for this kind of stuff, and that kind of buoys you on, doesn't it? You get that kind of like a little bit of like positive feedback.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, I'm good at this and I enjoy it. And that's one of my kind of regrets looking back, I think, is that I wish I'd just followed that path. Like I was growing up, I was kind of like, I've got to get a job that's like, I've got to do a degree that has a job at the end of it. I was kind of very vocational minded. So I was like, I did science first of all, to become a scientist, then didn't like the idea of becoming a scientist. So I threw that in the bin. And then I was like, I'll do law instead. So I did law, became a lawyer. And lawyer is fine, but it's not my passion in any way. And writing has always been the passion the whole way through. And from high school, and I kind of wish I'd just followed creative writing a little bit more and seen where it taken me.
It's so funny, isn't it? Because I always think as well, it's a lot to do with like how you grew up and your background and your family. If you got certain, I say that because of my family being from Grenada, and it's very odd when you have to call yourself, what is it, a first generation British person? I think that's technically what I am.
Is that the correct phrase?
I think, I only learnt that last week, but I think that's the. I think that's
formal.
It's so formal, but like but it goes back to this thing. Is that you're not told that writing can be a career.
Yes.
And you have 100%. To have something stable. And something stable is going to be the law.
Doctor, lawyer, dentist.
Yeah.
It felt like there was like 4 or 5 jobs in high school, right? Like there was like, you'd sit down to be like, what am I going to do at uni? And it was like, here's the 5 jobs you can do. You're doctor, lawyer, dentist, vet. And it felt like there was no other like route to anything. It was really constrictive. I remember looking at stuff being like, but what else is there? And I'm struggling and not thinking. And it's years later you look back and think, God, there's like tons of jobs that you don't even know exist at that point. And it's so difficult, I think, to kind of pick what you want to do when you're that age. It's quite difficult. And
I think you kind of feel like you're committed to it as well. Once you've made that decision to be like a lawyer, well, that's it. You can't deviate from that. At all.
Yeah, I remember reading like horror stories, or what I saw as horror stories of folk who had like done a year of uni and then being like, I don't want to do this course, and changed, and it was like the biggest thing in the world, to change to do something else. And it was like, so I was like, God, I can't change. I'm locked in now, and it did feel like a big, massive kind of commitment, like you had to do it. And I don't know why it felt like that. I'm not sure why I had that thought in my head, to be honest.
Yeah, it's probably now, like looking back now, because I always say I'm very open, so I messed up my A-levels, so I get bored easily. Okay. And I got bored. So once I get bored, it's like my attention, I don't give it my full attention. Okay. So I was supposed to study law and American studies at uni, messed up my A-levels. So I ended up, I had to go through clearing. And I went to uni to study initially. It was supposed to be science and technology in society and philosophy. Wow. And I know. It was just like, I just need to get into uni. I've messed up. I just need to get into uni. And it was the same uni I wanted to go to, Middlesex, but it was just like, I just need to get in. And I got in on that course. Tariq, I did one lecture and I was like, nope, I'm not doing
What was the lecture?
It was, the first lecture was about this thing is stuck in my head, was about the Industrial Revolution. I thought, I'm not doing this for 3 years. There's no way.
But so that's you knew like that day one, you're like, it's not for me.
Yeah, I'm not, this is not for me. Even though I knew I could do a conversion course to do law anyway. So I've said, I'm not doing this for 3 years. And history was always my first love. And I wanted to do American studies. So I basically just went and lied to the course leader for American studies. And I said to him, I don't know what's happened. I'm not supposed to be on this course.
They put in the wrong course. How did it work?
Yeah. because he
You're
said
joking.
no,
That's
I'm not.
brilliant.
Because he then said to me, yeah, this isn't the first time it's happened. And he signed my form. And then
You're
that's when
kidding.
I transferred on to American Studies and History. And I was
That's
happy.
amazing. I can't believe that worked. That's like the oldest trick in the book.
And
That's
it
brilliant.
worked.
So when did you do law then?
I did law after I did my degree. So
so you did that.
yes,
after,
I did the
right?
I did the conversion
okay.
course and I did the law. But yeah, I'm always of the mindset just to start. What's the worst that could happen? They say no.
100%. I genuinely, I totally agree with it. Life is short. You got one chance at stuff. Go for it. Like, who cares? Like, it's people. The amount of folk that I've chatted to who have gotten book deals by like lying to agents and like lying to publishers and stuff to get at meetings. You know, I've written a book. I'll send it in. Oh, no problem. Then I'll write it tomorrow and then send it to you Monday. You know, like you've got to do what you can do. Whatever it is in life, you've got to do what you can do to make it work. 100%.
I don't know how appropriate this is for two lawyers to be talking about.
I never actually qualified law school. No, I'm joking. No, I didn't.
Turn into suits. I will get myself together. So you're sitting at uni. So you did law at uni.
Yes, I did. Yeah. I went back after. So after I did science, I went back and did like the 2-year course. So in Scotland, you can do a 2-year course rather than 4 years. So you can do it like half the time, and then you do the diploma, and then you're qualified type of thing. That's how it works. So I went back and did the fast track course.
Yeah. Were you always writing though on the side?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was always writing stuff, and I was in like a short story writing class for a little bit, and me and my mate Marco, we were doing like scripts together and stuff. Oh no, that was later on actually. But no, I was always writing stuff. I was always kind of doing short stories. Like everyone seems to like start off doing short stories, right? Like I was kind of like novels too much. That's too hard. But I'll do short stories, and I always kind of loved the idea of having my work out there somehow and it being read. But I never. I think it was like we're saying. I never thought of writing as a career. I always just saw it as a hobby and something that would maybe keep on doing, and then I guess see where it took me at. But I never ever seriously considered writing as a means of making a living at all. I think.
When did it change for you then? When you'd decided to yourself, you know what, this is, even though I have my job, you're working, you can live, you can eat, but this is something that I need to pursue.
That's a good question. I think it must have been later on. It must have been when I was definitely qualified, I think, and I was doing a kind of short story writing class, and I was quite enjoying it. And it was good because all it was like a bunch of folk who you kind of meet, and you'd write a short story, and then you get like a topic to do a short story on. You'd write it for the next week, and it was good because I had like a deadline, and it made me write stuff every week, which was good. And one week it was like a detective fiction, and so I wrote kind of detective short story, and the guy running the class was like, this could be the first chapter of something bigger, this rather than a self-contained story. And I was like, maybe I could work on a book. Maybe I could expand on it. And so that was like 2013 or something, 2014. So I was kind of, maybe I could build on this. And so that was the kind of first moment I thought maybe I could write something. I could write a novel after all at this point. But it still took me like years to actually finish it. And I was I think the lack of deadline killed it for me. And there was a lack of deadline and not really knowing what I was going to do with it afterwards. And I guess not having much confidence that it was any good. So I was kind of like, I'd write on it here, there, did a few drafts. And then it was, I read, and then one day I will dedicate a book to him. I read Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography, right? And everybody laughs, right? It's one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. Like, I actually didn't realize how much I love Arnie until I read this book. This guy, right? He grows up like poor in this farm in Austria, and it's like, I want to become a bodybuilding champion, and everyone's like, shut up, Arnie. Like, get out, milk those cows and shut up. And he's like, no, I'm good. So he gets up at like 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, like works over 2 hours, like works in the farm all day and works out 2 hours in the evening, and does this every day, gets massive, and wins like the local bodybuilding championship stuff. And then he's like, I want to become Mr. Universe, and he does it, and he's this big figure, and then he's like, I want to go to America and become a Hollywood movie star. And everyone's like, shut up, Arnie, like you can barely speak English, like, what are you talking about? And he goes over and he does it. You know, he becomes this massive, humongous action hero. And then it's like, right, I'm done with that now. I'm going to go into politics. And everyone's like, no, you don't be ridiculous. And he does it and becomes a massive success in politics. And every point he was like, I put my mind to something and I just did it, and people laughed at me and said I couldn't do it. But if it's important to you and it means a lot,
You'll do it.
you just got to do it. Yeah, exactly. And I read that. I remember reading that on a train when I was going to work one morning. And I'd been kind of working on this book for like 2-3 years because I'm not really getting anywhere with it. And I was like, oh, you know what? I actually, if it's what I want to do, if I just need to do it. I just need to stop being like a lazy arse and just sit down and finish the draft. And that really lit fire into me. Just kind of like that. It was nothing fancy about the advice. It was, the basic advice that everyone gets told. There's something about reading it and some of the way he said it, I was like, if this is what I want to do, this is my passion, I really just need to sit down and do it. And that gave me the drive to finish that first draft off.
It's sometimes, like someone could have been telling you that for like 10 years every day, and you just wouldn't have, and you just wouldn't have heard it.
Yeah, 100%.
But it just takes, it's like some things they just have to be in alignment, and it literally is that moment you've been on a train.
Time. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's exactly. And I think I was kind of like, I'm on a train like an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening every day. That's like prime writing time. I could be, rather than mucking about my phone or whatever, I could easily be doing like 2 hours a day writing without having to think about it. And so I was like, I should use this time better. And so yeah, so that was, I will always owe Arnie a debt of gratitude.
Who would have thought Arnold Schwarzenegger would have been the one that give you a kick up the arse?
I know, right?
Basically
Brilliant.
But you find your influences in so many different ways. It may not necessarily be, the traditional teacher telling you what to do. It could be literally just 100%. That moment in time because you sat down on the train and you've read. It could have been one line.
It could have been. I think you're right that it's all about timing and stuff, and it's all about like this is a moment. For whatever the things have aligned, that it's like it's kind of shown me this is the possible path I could have, and just go for it. Yeah,
because I think as well, a lot of people, cause I've said this before, like on this podcast and in pieces I've written, that sometimes you think that you need to have everything like perfectly set up before you can sit down to start to write this epic that you've been planning to write for like 5 years. Like you need to have the right software, the right pen. You need to have everything needs to be perfect.
There's always something holding me back. I just need to fix that. I'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's so many people hold on to that. I need to have this, and they never get the thing done that they really want to get done.
I totally agree with that. I think it's easy because it's quite scary. It's a big job. It's all by yourself in your own head. And I think it's easy sometimes to kind of look for reasons not to do it, or to, as you say, I have to make sure the house is tidy, and then I have to sit down and with the right cup of coffee, notepad, or whatever the thing is that your state has to be perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. You just have to go for it.
No, it's never going to be perfect. Yeah. So, when you wrote not the Midnight King, because I'm going to ask you about the Midnight King because the Midnight King is brilliant. I just want everyone to read it. But you said that piece that you were writing and someone said to you, this could be the start of something bigger. Yep. Was that Welcome to Cooper?
It was, yeah, exactly. So it was very similar. It was like two detectives kind of in this nightmarish city, and there was a dead woman with her eyes gouged out, and then there was some kind of hint that one of the cops was bent. I can't remember exactly, but that was, and all of that pretty much translated whole almost to the book, like the same murder victim, the same like bent cop, the same kind of like horrible. I think it was I changed it to snow rather than rain, but pretty much it was nuts how similar it was, and yeah, so that was the kind of genesis of Welcome to Cooper. Yeah.
Did you surprise yourself? When you get to the end and you've written the end, even though your editor will take out the end. When you get them,
I love writing the end because I feel like you have to have something to say you've earned it. It's that nice little like.
That's what it is, isn't it?
At the end, yeah.
You've 100%. Earned writing the end. I remember the first time I got it must be my edits came back with the Jigsaw Man, and I got to the end and the end had been deleted. I'm like, what? Why have you taken off the end? I have finished.
Because like no one says the end, but it's like no, but it's important to me. It's a psychological thing. Yeah.
What was it like for you that moment when you first got like your finished book in your hand?
Oh, it's nuts. Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe, I suppose. But again, you kind of feel like because it's such a long process. That's something I didn't realize was how long it takes. And you've gone through all these steps and the gatekeepers at every point, etc., to get through to it. So yeah, and I think how bad that first draft would be when I did it to get to the point. And and the number of people that are involved in helping you, it's quite humbling in a way, right? The number of people that are involved in helping you get to this final book that you're holding in your hand. There's like your agent, your editor, publisher, marketer, whatever. It's all these folk working to make your book a reality. It is. It's quite a moment. It is, and just seeing a physical thing in your hands is quite cool. It is. It's
Did you ever feel? 'Cause I think I've said this to you when I was talking on your podcast, and how like I felt ill prepared for being a writer, as opposed to you are prepared. You spend a long time preparing to be a solicitor, and then you're doing your job, and you're constantly having to do like courses, continuing your professional development. You're doing that
for writers, is it?
No, there's none of that for writers.
No, I know, and I didn't really know what to expect. Like, obviously, we've both been kind of doing the writing scene for like what 5-6 years now, or so. But you're right. When you start, I was like, oh, so you have to go to festivals and go on panels and all this kind of stuff. I didn't know was a thing, like how it worked, like just the fact that there's like a community of crime writers and other writers that kind of like you kind of join, and then there's this whole other world that kind of exists that you don't know is there. And it's I kind of thought you kind of write it and then. Well, I don't know what I thought. I think like when you before you kind of get into it, I remember thinking, oh, once I get an agent, that'll be it. Like, once I have my agent, I'll be sorted. They'll do everything for me. They'll fight my battles for me. They'll get me in everywhere. I'll be in the supermarket. And then you get an agent, and it's like, well, that's the first of many hurdles to jump through. And you need an agent, but it's not the end of the journey. And I didn't have a clue how long and how many people you have to like, get ticks from and get yeses from to get through. And then still at the end, you're like, where is the book going to be? Is it going to be in supermarkets? Is it going to be in shops? Is it going to be an ebook only? It's I didn't have a clue what to expect, I think, going in. And I don't think anyone does. No one ever really talks about the reality, I think, much of like what happens after you've kind of got that deal or got the agent. Like what happens is everyone's always like, here's how you get an agent, my agent story, blah blah, or how I got my publishing deal. But it's the reality of after that is like the world of being a published writer, going to festivals. Like I think this year I come pretty much at a festival like every month, which is amazing. Like it is.
You are at a lot of festivals. Because...
You're at a lot of festivals too.
Not this year. I think I cut down I think the year before, and definitely the year before that I did a lot.
And it's amazing, right? And it's great and it's fun and you get to see, but it's also pretty knackering and expensive and I had no idea that was such a big thing, like to try and push your book. And I was kind of thinking, how can I move the needle? Like, what can I do to actually shift this book? And the reality is, you can't really do much. I was like you can, you can tweet stuff, but I feel it makes like zero impact. Like you're shouting into the void a lot of the time.
Yeah, I feel that. And I don't know whether it's me, I feel like I'm just being like some kind of old and cynical, like Grandpa Simpson. I just feel like I'm just being miserable. But I ask myself a lot, it's like, how much more can I actually do?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You do the festivals, you do the podcasts, whatever. You post your book on whatever social media platform of the week is popular.
But it's not been run by a Nazi this week.
Yes, exactly. It's not been. And you're like, well, how much of an impact is this making? And who's actually hearing me? Yeah. And it's hard.
I totally agree with that. And it makes me wonder, like, this is from folk who have a publisher behind them, who's like, doing the heavy lifting, really, who are the ones who can make the difference, who have the connections and who get you in front of panels or get into newspapers or whatever. If I was self-publishing myself, I feel that there'd be such a pressure, I think, to try and work out how do I advertise myself. And it's really hard. Like it's way harder than I thought it would be. And certainly the stuff I've done has done barely anything like to move in. It's like social media stuff doesn't really do anything. I paid for some Facebook ads. It did nothing. I think going to festivals is a good way of getting yourself out there for sure, and you can hopefully sell some books and get yourself known, that kind of thing. But even that, it's still quite kind of small. You're in a niche writer's world, aren't you? Still, and you go to a festival, and there's the public who come to a festival are not the general public. They're like folk who love writers and love reading books and stuff, and trying to push to the wider to make it like a big splash. That's really difficult, I think.
Yeah, there's not much. God, this is depressing. Yeah, there's not much you can do, and you can't really predict, what will gain
Totally,
what will gain traction.
Yeah.
It's
fun, isn't it? Like the books that do well. You see books that have had not much of a marketing push behind them for whatever reason just take off. Whether it's like it's been reviewed in the magazine at the right time, or it's done on the TV, or it's done something that's just caught it and it's just spiraled. And then you see books that have had such massive marketing pushes and like tons of money behind them, and then they totally flop. And those are the ones I find really surprising, because I'm like, I would have thought if you've got a publisher that's putting tons of money behind a book, it can't fail. Like if it's, and we've all seen books that are like everywhere. They're at every festival, they're on bookmarks, they're on it's on newspapers, or emails about it and stuff.
Oh, and say they're in the toilet. It's like, you can't miss it.
That is a good way to think about it. But that's exactly it. And then they totally flop. And I'm like, I feel that's almost weirder, because I'm like, I would have thought just the amount of like times it's out there, people would be buying it just because they've seen it everywhere. But obviously not. Like it is funny. It's really hard to predict, and obviously publishers struggle with it as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, we could name a book, but we won't. We'll probably talk about it afterwards. But we could name a book where I remember, because my book and this book were supposed to come out at the same time, then for various reasons, mine got moved. And I remember seeing like billboards.
Mm-hmm. Oh God!
Like it was
disgusting.
Disgusting billboard. But this was like 6-7 months before. Yeah, about no longer than that. I think about 6-7 months before the book even came out.
Oh, that is long.
Yeah, which is early. So they were already promoting the book 7 months before it was even due to be published. And I said it was everywhere you turned, like you open an email from the bookseller and like there it was on the banner. Yeah. And then it came out, and I remember, because I get the books and I'm thinking, well, I know when the email, I expect it to be number one. Yeah. And it wasn't, and it was nowhere near.
See, it's weird, right?
And it's weird.
But you think that alone, that push would give it massive sales, but it doesn't.
Yeah. You can't predict it. But then on the flip side of it, you and I would have heard so many stories from other authors saying all they want is a bit of marketing spend. They just want a little bit of publicity. If they just had something, then they know they will do, they'll get a few more sales. And
the way the publishers like split the marketing budget for stuff, like it makes no sense to me. Like I kind of think, rather than giving like, 100 grand, or I don't know, I made that figure up, 100 grand say to one book, why not give it like 80 or 90 and give
I said
like
that
5 or 10, like, I don't like, because you get some books that get nothing, like get like, as you say, we've chatted to folk who have like, all my publishers gave me like a tweet on release date, like, that's like the biggest, that's the only marketing thing they ever did. Yeah. And I'm like, that's like, surely they want to make money as well, right? They want the book to sell, because otherwise they don't make any money off it.
This is what I've never quite understood, because and I probably sound like a broken record, because I'm sure I've said it repeatedly on this podcast, and to anyone who would listen to me, is that in my head it doesn't make business sense why you would buy a book. So like I'd buy your book and then say, I'm going to sell your book, but then I won't do anything to promote it. Even Quick Fit want to sell tires. They'll promote the tires because they want to sell.
Yeah, so totally. It's very, very odd. Very odd.
It's a very odd situation.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it. So I do think like there's certain authors that will sell, that don't need the marketing spend, that like are massive names that will get, people will buy it regardless if you see it on a shelf. They don't need much. And I definitely feel the lower end, kind of mid-list to low end authors, like I often feel it's quite unfair, and they should get more of a push, especially from like the big five, wherever you've got like, who I assume are just swimming in cash and just like,
Well, they are. They say they're not, and then you see like end of year, oh, it was a record-breaking year, and you're like, oh really? And it was just London Book Fair the other day, and I think I read in an email. There's like, US publishers were spending loads of money. You're like, oh, okay, so you got the money.
Yeah, I know.
I sound so bitter.
I just just want some of that money. What's the big deal?
I just want some money.
I know it's odd. It's a very odd. It's a very odd world. I think that's the kind of thing which though you don't know about, right? When you're coming up to it, you've no idea the reality of how books work, of how they're marketed. Like I just kind of assumed all books did quite well. They were in bookshops and stuff, and then how the reality of like film deals and all that kind of stuff. It's just I knew none of it. I absolutely knew none of it.
No, it even goes back, the whole supermarket thing. And I always get, and I shouldn't get frustrated, but I used to get frustrated, like to think that I have a job. Like I could stand in front of a judge and convince a judge as to why I should not put this person in jail. Yeah. Why is it such a surprise to me that your book doesn't just appear on the supermarket shelf? It's like, I shouldn't be naive about that. But then you learn it's a whole process.
Such a big thing, right? Like getting into the supermarket is such a big deal. Yeah, and it's so hard because you've had your books in the supermarket, right?
Yeah. But even that, supermarkets have changed, and this is, you learn this now, but, how much space is available. So I think with the Jigsaw Man, the hardback was just in Asda, right, and the paperback was in Tesco's and Asda. Then the binding room, hardback was in Asda only, nice. But then I got Sainsbury's, Tesco's and Asda for the paperback.
Amazing. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Kill List. I didn't get no hardbacks in the supermarket, but I got the paperback in Tesco's. Just once, and it's just no
rhyme or reason. Then
there's no rhyme or reason, but you're just grateful because you're like foot traffic.
Yeah,
pick up your bread and get a book.
And I definitely, supermarkets are weird ones because I think the shelf spaces must be getting
smaller,
aren't they? They're definitely getting smaller, I think. And you started, and certainly the ones I've been up popping in Tesco, Sainsbury's, and I look at the book, but like often it's like. It's the name you totally expect, like the cookbooks, the Jamie Oliver cookbooks, or like the celebrity authors. Yeah, you got tons of space. Or James Patterson's got like 5 books there or something. He's not written one word off. And everyone trying to squeeze in. And there's always quite a lot of like cozy historical fiction. Yeah, like World War II.
With the nurse
stories.
On the front,
the nurse on the front, like turned away. But they must do really well. They must sell really well at supermarkets because I always see a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's not. It's like you were saying, and I've said it before, that you get all the advice in the world as to how to find an agent. What to do to submit your book to an agent. But then and also your agent, if you've got a good agent, they will prepare you as much as they can. Yeah, but there's still a big, massive gap between you signing with an agent and then you going. That whole publishing process and then promoting your book.
Yeah. It's a weird, right? Because I remember reading, the stat everyone's read, which is like the average author makes like 10 grand a year, some impossibly low sum, which is like pretty depressing. Yeah. And it's kind of nuts because I'm like the reality of being an author and trying to make a living off it is that most people it's not possible. Like you have to have a side job, and and it just seems bizarre to me that the way the money works, because surely we want people to be authors, we want that to be a big thing, like we want writers to do well, etc. And I think my worry has always been like writing becomes something which only the rich can do, or those that have like
trust funds,
enough money or trust funds, or exactly, or have enough money from the day job and enough time to write on the side, but. I feel it's a real shame if writing becomes the kind of reserve for just those that have money and can afford not to work a day job. I feel that would be a real loss.
You can see how easily that could be, like, because it's like law down in England and Wales. There was a point where they'll be saying, the only people who could become barristers or solicitors are the one, because the pay, especially if you're doing criminal law. Yeah, criminal, there's no money.
Criminal law pays really poorly. It's all legal aid stuff. I think a lot of it. Yeah, it's not very much. And then even if you want to become an advocate in Scotland, it's like a year unpaid. You have to train, and so that right there is a barrier for a lot of people. So it's capitalist society.
Listen, look at a miserable pair we are.
What is the point? What's the point of anything?
Why are we doing this, Tariq? Why did we bother? What were we thinking? All right, should we just talk about books?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm too sad now.
We're too miserable. Let's cheer ourselves up. So, what was it like winning an award with a proper interview? What was it like when you won? When you won your Bloody Scotland debut award.
That was amazing.
So that was
brilliant. Yeah, that was 2021 or 2022. Yeah, it was amazing. There was five or six of us up for it, and I remember going down. It was the same year that Frankie Boyle was up for it as well, and I was like, Frankie Boyle's got it in the bag. Like, he's going to win it. Of course he is.
Game over. And then he didn't turn up for the award. He wasn't there in the evening. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then we were kind of sitting waiting, and then the name flashed up on the screen and stuff, and I was like, I just couldn't quite kind of believe it was me. It was nuts. It was amazing. Did you feel like it validated you and validated all those decisions that you'd made? I know what you mean.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think there's 100% the whole imposter syndrome, which is a real thing. And even when you've written and you have a book that's good enough to get an agent, and I know a lot of that is luck. It's like right place, right time. But you've managed to get through that bit, and you managed to get a publishing deal, and you're out there. You still kind of feel like, I don't know if fraud's too strong a word, but you definitely feel like it's like not earned, or it's at some point it's going to kind of fall apart, or you're not going to be able to do it again, and you've got all these kind of like stresses on you and stuff. And I think winning something like that was 100%, or even being nominated, to be honest, was definitely like a validation of like, actually the kind of independent people have looked at it and said, this is good enough to be of a certain quality, I think. So yeah, it definitely gave me a real boost in terms of like morale and energy for going into writing the next book after that.
But it doesn't stop people thinking that you're rich now.
Yeah, that £500 I got, that went a long way.
I mean, you got 500 quid loaded.
I couldn't believe it. They phoned me up and they were like, what's the bank? And I was like, oh my God, there's a cash prize involved. This is amazing.
You just thought it was a trophy.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with the trophy, but the £500 was icing on the cake.
How did it change you as a writer, or did it change you as a writer in any way?
Probably gave me confidence, I think, to write, because at that point I'd written 2 books, and I must have been about to pitch my third one, because my first 2 books were published by Amazon, and then I came to write book 3, and I think at that point, so it gave me a confidence, I think, that I kind of knew what I was doing a little bit, and when I remember when I pitched book 3 to Amazon, they said, oh, it's a bit dark for us, and what would do, like a kind of rebus type procedural thriller. And I was like, oh, I'm loving this idea, and I really want to write this idea, and so I ended up very, really amicably parting ways with them, and I've kind of gone back to them now anyway, so it's all kind of worked out. But at that point, we parted ways amicably, and I went on to write The Midnight King. And I think maybe winning that award gave me the confidence to trust myself a little bit, and to say, actually, if this idea is really speaking to me, and it's in a way that kind of means something, I think I'm going to trust myself, I'm going to write it, and even though I don't have a publisher signed on, I'm happy to take that risk and to write it and then try and sell it again after that. Because I think if I hadn't won that award, I would have been much more, I think, of, well, I'll write what you want me to write, because I want to keep getting paid and published. And I think it was, I think having the confidence to say, no, I'm going to step back. And also and the fact that I was working meant I had the luxury of being able to say, I've got income coming in from my day job, so I can afford to take my time and just write it, and not write what you want me to write just because I need the money to pay the bills. So that was nice. It's
a lot to be said, isn't there, to having that confidence in yourself to not only to say this is what I want to write, but to say to someone else, no, I'm not going to do what you want me to do.
Yeah, it's tricky, especially when you're starting out, I think, and and I've changed agents since then as well, and I think so much. You're so grateful, right, when you first get in, because you're like, oh, I'm getting an agent and getting published. You're like, oh, this is like, you're just so happy someone's offered you this thing, and the thought of turning it down or changing, or go back to square one a little bit is like terrifying. And you think, well, it's taken me like years to get to this point. Why would I throw it away? And I think you do always have to say to yourself, well, is this the right move for my career? What kind of book do I want to be known for? Or, if I'm going to spend a year of my life working on this novel, you have to love it, I think. And if you're working on something that's not a passion project, or you're doing it for the wrong reasons, or you're writing it for something but you don't believe in, etc., I think you can become quite disillusioned with everything because it's and it's a lot of psychological stuff. You're in your head by yourself 9 times out of 10 writing it, and if you're not happy with it, or you don't like where it's going, or it's not, you're not being authentic with yourself, I think that kind of burns away at you a little bit, and it puts you off. I think you have to love what you're writing, and deep inside of it's not the book you should be writing.
Yeah. It's before we started recording, I was doing another interview, and we were basically saying the same thing. You need to be enthusiastic.
Oh yeah.
In order to sit at this desk in front of your computer or in front of your notebook, let's say for 8 hours, and to be committed to a story, you need to. I'm not saying you need to basically fall in love with your characters in your story.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, it's like what's the point?
Totally agree with that. Yeah. I think that's exactly right. And I think everyone's read books that's like, and you can tell that it's like it's a bit boring. And I'm pretty sure if you're bored writing something, I'm sure that comes through when people read it. I think folk can tell when there's no passion behind it, or when it's been written by a committee, or if it's just been done for the money and stuff.
Yeah, it's even because even before in my other conversation, we were talking about books that have been, you can tell they've just been written with the clear intention of being picked up for TV or for film. And I said I'd literally read about 3 books in a row, and for each book I was like, this has just been written because there's something missing. Like there's a heart, there's some like the heart is missing from it. Totally, and I thought this has just been made. This is just a script, really.
Yeah. I think the books that I love that and stay with me, and I've reread and stuff. There's a energy to them, right? That you can feel on the page. I think then that comes from the author. I think just being totally immersed in it and writing it from the right place of like, this is the story I want to tell right now, and it's all I can think about. It's in my head, and certainly when I was writing The Midnight King, that for me was, I was always thinking about it. I was going through it in my head, but when I wasn't writing, it was there. I was going back and forth, and I never got bored writing it. I was always excited, and obviously those days it felt crap and it's not working, etc. But I feel that frustration comes from a place of I know what I'm trying to write. I know what story I'm trying to tell. I just can't seem to get it on the page properly, or it's not working, or I don't know how to get from what's in my head to get it on the page. And that's always the hardest part of it, I think. But I think that frustration is a good sign, because it means that you really are excited about what you're trying to do.
It's an interesting battle to have, and it's a battle that there's no writing class or writing book ever tells you about. Because I had the same thing with this. So I've got this book I've been working on for, it feels like years now, but it's not in contract or anything. And I was working on it the last couple of weeks, and I was thinking, there's something missing. There's something I'm not getting right. And I think I could just scrap it because no one's asking for it.
Yeah.
I showed it to my agent and he liked it. I don't know why he liked it, but he goes,
is it crime? Is this sci-fi?
Yeah, it's a crime. Okay. It's legal. It's legal.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay, and I've been running away from it. But then I thought I could just scrap it because something's not working. And I just thought, no, because I like the characters and I know there's a good story there. And I just had to go back and rewrite. I'm a planner, so I've just gone and rewritten the outline. But you need to have that love for it.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you're sitting, as you say, when you're sitting at a desk by yourself for 8 hours, for 6, 8 months, 9 months a year, you need to have that passion to drive it for sure. And I think books like that, like you've got your legal thriller that you're working on for years, and you go back to every so often, right? You do your crime, you get a jigsaw room, then you go back to for a little bit, and then you do back to a little bit, and there's a reason, right? There's a reason it's drawing you back, and 100%, and that means something, I think. So I think that you should stick with it for sure.
Yeah, I could just close the file on it because I'm like, my edits have come back for book 4, and I'm like, I need to go back to that, and I can just focus on that. But yeah, there's something in it. Tariq, when did you realise you could go dark and go really? Because this is can I say, right? When I was reading, let me show you again. Like, this is my proof copy of The Midnight King. If you saw the state of it, this has been on planes with me. It's been everywhere with me. It's in poor condition. And I was reading it and I'm like, oh my, this is like, I was like, it's so good, but it's so dark.
Yeah, I know,
but it's good. So when did you know you could go dark?
I remember reading Red Dragon when I was quite young, in like kind of high school. And that
how old? Because I was about 13, I think.
I probably must have been about similar age, to be honest. Yeah, I was at early high school, so it must have been about 12, 13, 14, something like that. Probably too young for it.
Far too young.
But it really connected. Like, I know you're a big Hannibal Lecter fan.
Yeah.
Obviously. You know, that's a big part of the Jigsaw Man, that kind of like going to a killer for advice. I love that, like having to ask help from a killer. That something about that relationship I love. And I think, and that book I'm reading, and I was like, God, this is dark, and it was like unlike any kind of book I'd read, I think, up to that point, and that kind of stayed with me. And then I think I was always like, whenever I thought back about what books have I always loved and excited, stuff like Red Dragon or like American Psycho, or this Secret History, these kind of like really dark, kind of like sometimes quite nasty books are ones which always have stuck with me. And I remember, I think the hardest thing I was found was working out how dark. What's the line? Like how dark can you take something before it's unpalatable? I think.
So this is the thing. Like, I don't think I consciously think about my books being dark. Like, I just think this is a story, and this is the scene I need to write. And
your books are dark.
And I still don't think they are, but everyone's like, no, they aren't.
I know what you mean. I mean. I think I suspect, because I kind of feel similar to mine. Like I don't see it as intrinsically as being a dark book, but everyone's always like, it's so dark, and and there are definitely points in the Midnight King where rereading it, I was like, oh God, this scene's quite. Like,
I didn't think you were going to go certain places with.
Yeah, well, it's funny because so part of the reason that when Viper offered me a contract for it, part of the reason why I jumped for them was because I know they put out dark fiction. I know they don't shy away from it, and I was like, I feel I've been safe hands, being guided by where the line is for that kind of thing. Whereas I feel other people might have been like, this is too bad, cut it out. And I think and that happened with Welcome to Cooper. It was definitely I'd written it. I think in hindsight now, the main character was kind of oppressively horrible. He was almost like a nasty, unlikable character, and so that kind of that had to get pulled back a little bit. And I think. I mean, really though, the stuff that I love to read is probably quite dark, like True Detective-y type, horrible, tense, grisly, dark fiction. And I think you have to write the stuff that you love. And even if, there's an audience for everything nowadays. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter what the topic is. The audience, the internet is huge. So I think if you're writing something that you love and you would read, then other people would read it as well. Yeah. But yeah.
I always work along dark stuff is awful, because I always work along the basis. I think like my mandate is that there is darkness in it's not every single moment of the day, it's not every minute of someone's life, but it's pockets of life. That's where the darkness is. And I think that's what I try and do in my books. So you don't just want gratuitous violence just for the sake of violence. There needs to be a point to it.
I guess that's totally right. Like, I think there's something like Hostel, those that kind of like torture porn movies, which
I don't like those.
They're not. They would never be my number one. I love horror films, but I'd have no problem with gore. But if it's gore for the sake of gore, I kind of get a bit bored after a while. Like, it's not. It doesn't really have any. It's fun to watch in a group, and you kind of like laughing and cheering and stuff. But like, I think the genuine great horror stuff is the kind of proper, like, tense, horrible stuff, and it's stuff that you kind of recognize, or it's like everyday stuff that's kind of been twisted, or there's a reason for why there's a gory scene, or there's a reason why it's happening, and that kind of horror I really love, and so I think you're totally right. Like, horror for the sake of, or gore for the sake of gore, etc., has no place, I don't think, for me. But it's that kind of everyday stuff you twist on its head a little bit, and finding horror in those little moments, those little pockets, as you say. That's a good way to talk about it, those little pockets of everyone's life. I think that's exactly it. Yeah,
because I did a panel a couple of years ago, I think it was at Harrogate, and one of the audience questions was basically, is there any topic that you wouldn't write about? And someone on the panel said they wouldn't write about a child being murdered. And my answer, it just basically, I put my lawyer hat on, and I just said, well, I couldn't turn away from a case, no matter how I feel personally about the case.
True.
It's like, I couldn't, the rules are, I can't say no to it, so I'd have to do it. So I kind of have that same approach to my writing.
I think that's right. I agree with that. I don't think anything for me, I don't think anything should be off limits because it's also all in the writing of it, right? Like you could write about anything, but it depends how you write it, how graphic or how close or how far away or the voice or how something that could be horrific. The same turn of events could be horrific or sad or comedy. You know, it really could be, it runs the gamut of like of everything. So I think it all depends how it's written and what kind of book you're trying to tell, what kind of story you're trying to tell. But ultimately, yeah, I think nothing is off limits, and I really love pushing kind of crime novel. I think that crime is a great genre because I feel it encapsulates like so much. Like you can write like any kind of genre almost in crime, and I love horror movies and horror books and stuff. So I love kind of like pushing crime as much as I can, I think, into that horror genre without becoming a kind of all out kind of Stephen King horror book.
Yeah.
But I love that kind of dark crime, that terrifying dark crime novels.
I always think like the darkness, it doesn't even necessarily come from like the crime itself. So like, of course, they're like a murder. It sounds terrible. Like a murder's a murder. Like I can kill people in a variety of ways in a book. Literally, I don't think twice about it. But I think the dark moments comes when you're dealing with the person.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are sitting with, say, with the serial killer or the witness who may not be telling the truth, someone who's got something to hide, I think that's when the darkness can be more frightening in seeing the people and their emotions.
Yeah. I think often, really, when people look back on great horror moments, it's character stuff, isn't it? That really makes it. It's like it's not just. You know, I also think it's really hard to write like or even probably write or shoot a horror scene, like a tense chase or thriller moment, if you don't know what the stakes are, if you don't know why that character is scared, you know, what is it that's going on. I think you need to drill into the character stuff. I think you need to drill into what they've done, what they're up against, and that is all. You know, I feel character and plot are often really intertwined like that, but I feel stuff like that is mainly character. Like as you see, it's the way they speak or the look they give or something they've done or the way they phrase something that kind of puts you on edge. Like how they perceive what they've done. Do they view it in the same way that you do? Is it abnormal? Like there's so much stuff you can play with, that kind of psychological stuff. I feel that's for me is the meat of a good horror.
Listeners, it's time for a very short break. If you're enjoying this conversation with Nadine Matheson and want to help keep the podcast going, why not buy me a cup of coffee? Your support goes such a long way in keeping these conversations flowing. Just check out the link in the show notes. I think that's one of the reasons why, you know the film Primal Fear?
Yes.
With,
yes.
And the book. Yeah, Richard Gere and Edward Norton. And I think it's the reason why I love that film so much. It's the end. It's not the moments when you're seeing the priest being murdered. It's that moment when 100%. Edward Norton switches and you're not sure, actually, is this the rich personality, is it? Yeah. Is this the right personality or has he made it up? That's like that right moment, the end, right? Yeah,
Gere's like, have I just been lied to this entire time? By this? 100%. That's the bit that everyone remembers, right? That's the moment of the film that sticks.
Forget everything else.
100%. I genuinely can't remember anything else about that film apart from that final bit at the end when you're like, oh God, maybe he did do it. You know, and that's such a great like character moment.
You want those moments.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what I feel. And I feel like, and those are tough. Those are tough to do because it's a lot of build up to it. You have to put everything in place. You have to really kind of know where it's going and what kind of what expectations you're subverting by and how you've set up one path to then flip it to another path. It's a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, it works. It's amazing. Yeah.
The only reason I can tell you what happens at the beginning is because I think I watched it a few years ago. I think during lockdown it was on, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. It's the priest that gets murdered, and he's running barefoot on the train tracks." Actually, Edward Norton.
No memory of that at all. No memory of that. Was that Ed Norton's first film? I feel he was really young in it, though, wasn't he?
He was young. Maybe it wasn't his first one, but maybe it was the one that made him. Because
it must have been. That's right.
Yeah, it's that whole scene. You're just thinking, that's what I want.
Yeah.
All right, so because you and I will talk for a long time and then forget when we're actually recording a podcast and we have lives. Do you want to tell the listeners of the conversation about your latest book, The Midnight King? Which I keep saying is brilliant because it is brilliant.
Thank you. It's very kind. So The Midnight King is a novel about Nathan Cole, who comes back home to Nashville after 17 years for his dad's funeral. And he goes home to his dad's house, and the big secret that he's lived with his entire life is that his dad was a serial killer. And in the wardrobe in his dad's house is a box of trinkets, and it's all the trophies from his dad's victims that his dad's kept over the years. And the very top of the pile is a pair of ribbons that belong to a girl who's currently missing and is still out there. And he's been taken just days before his dad's death and might still be alive. And so he thinks, I'm going to try and find her and try and save her.
You know what I liked about this book? It was, you pick up a lot of books these days, or you'll go online and it'll say, this is the twistiest book.
Oh God,
ever.
I have to say that. I actually hate that because all it does is make me think I'm just looking for the twist now, and then I end up guessing because I don't know the twist. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, that doesn't happen in here. I remember being on the. I don't know where I was going or where I was coming from, but I was on the plane reading it, and I was like, "Oh, I thought this was going to happen, and this did not happen, and it's so good that did not happen." But I was like, "But Tariq," and I did the same thing that people say to me. Oh, but you're so nice. And you wrote this.
Honestly, I think crime writers are the nicest people because it's like therapy. You get it all out of the page. You get all that kind of crap out, and you're killing your workmates and your family, whatever. You're like just stabbing them to death. And then at one time you feel great. It's like you feel wonderful. Whereas like I reckon kids authors and like romance authors, they're putting all the good stuff out the page, and all that's left is this like shriveled husk of a horrible person. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Wasn't there a romance? I don't want to get it wrong. Could have been either a romance author or a children's author in America. It was a children's author. And she wrote a book which is basically like a handbook to grief for children, and it turns out she'd murdered her husband. Oh,
amazing! That is brilliant. I've not heard that. I hope that's true. That's
Google
phenomenal.
That
is brilliant. That is great.
Yeah, see, we're not out there murdering
That's a good idea
people.
for a story, isn't it?
It's so good.
Putting stuff out there, like actually writing the. I'm sure I've definitely heard about someone who was like who wrote a book based on the murder that they did, and the book was used as evidence against them in the trial because it was so close to what they'd actually done. I can't remember now, but yeah.
So you normally get that with rappers and rap lyrics. So I've lost count of the amount of trials we did.
Really? The rapping about like, having shot someone or stuff.
Yeah, no, seriously. And then in court, the prosecution would produce the YouTube video because there's always a YouTube video of them in their silly balaclavas and hoodies and but
idiots.
Yes, they are. I have two questions for you based off your book, because the one I like to ask now. What was a major challenge, or what did you find challenging about writing The Midnight King?
So there's three perspectives in the book. There's Nathan, there's the son of the serial killer. There's Isaac, his kind of old school pal turned PI who's investigating it as well. And then there's The Midnight King itself, which is like a kind of manuscript that his dad had written, and there's chapters of that pop out throughout. So there's three, I guess, kind of like storylines that can run through, and juggling them I found really tough. Juggling them to make sure that they were kind of, I never wanted people to think when it jumps to another strand, oh God, we're back with this.
Yeah,
this is the weakest one of the three or something. And I was trying to avoid that, and then trying to make it feel different, like trying to give them enough of a different voice that you don't feel like the same person. I find that quite hard sometimes, kind of giving characters distinct enough voices if they're especially kind of like, like the same age, they're male, they're both come back to the same city, they both kind of failed at something, and so trying to like make sure they had their own personalities and their own baggage that they were carrying with them that influenced how they sounded. That was quite tough.
It's a skill, isn't it? Because I've lost count of so many books where they have the dual narratives, so multiple points of views in there. And then I could be reading it and I'm thinking, I don't understand why you've even split it, because no one sounds distinct. You could have just encapsulated 100%. It all in one story. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And trying to make, and that's why for the Midnight King chapters, I think I ended up changing the tense to present tense for that one as opposed to past tense for the other two. It was almost just as a way of like making it sound different, because I was like, it needs to try and feel like a different voice than the other two. So yeah, so trying to juggle that, trying to make sure everyone, and then trying to get the timelines right, like trying to work out when someone does something, what's in one strand, when is that lining up with the other person, and so at what point do I need to break from one to jump to the other? And this is a really good bit to break because it's a good cliffhanger moment, but then this other guy's like 3 days behind now, and is that okay? Is that trying to work out the logistics of it all? I ended up having to do like a big spreadsheet of like what was happening on each day of like over like 3 weeks, and who and lining it all up, and that was quite tough.
Yeah, I always, whenever I get my edits back, I'm always like, I know my first job is to sort out the timeline, and I'm always like, timelines are the bane of my life.
Honestly, I totally agree.
Yeah, and with the kill list, because I had flashbacks, it wasn't necessarily dual time. I suppose it is dual timelines because I'm going back. I said never again. I'm not doing this again.
I get stuff in my edits notes. It's like, oh, this is actually this is a Saturday.
That's what I get.
June 24th, 90 fitness. I'm like, well, that's totally fair enough. But I'm kind of like, who's actually? Did anyone actually check? I'm assuming there must be readers that are actually like, fucking, this is garbage. Like this is a Saturday, not a Tuesday. Just chucks it. Like,
the moon was in its first quarter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it wasn't a full moon.
The minutia of actually checking into stuff is like, that's why I kind of say I'm very glad that there is someone who does that stuff for me, because I would never. That would never get past. But
as much as I complain about it, I am the person who will check. Especially when I got, for my own books, not for anyone else's books.
Okay.
I'm not checking yours, but my manuscript. I'm like, I've got, I'm throwing people into the river. I'm like, okay, I need to check if it was low tide or high tide on the 5th of March.
To that level of detail. Yeah, that's good though. Yeah, you're saving yourself work down the line, to be honest.
I am actually. I think, but also because I live near the river, so I think it's just ingrained on me. Like I'm very much aware of tidal times. I'm like, let me check where the tide was at 4 a.m. on this day. Okay, and another question about your book before we go into your last 4 questions is, which one of your characters would you like to spend the afternoon with? I say like.
Probably Isaac, I think.
Me too.
Yeah, he was probably the most fun to write, I think, because and of the 3 kind of main characters, he was the one that I had a kind of an actor in my head the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who?
So I was John David Washington. I had in my head, like,
that would be so good.
Denzel Washington's son. So he was, and normally I know some folks say you shouldn't do this, and because it kind of it influences the writing and it becomes like a pastiche of someone else, and I kind of get that to some degree, but it actually really helped me because once I was like, this is who I imagine playing him in a film version, and I could see him as like it kind of made it easier for me to kind of write it in a way that he would speak almost, and it kind of gave me a kind of character. I was like, okay, just if I could base off him a little bit, it did some of the heavy lifting for me, I think, in terms of dialogue or the way that he interacted with people. And so that was, so I love John David Washington. So I was like, this would be awesome.
Every time I said Isaac was my favourite, and that's who I'd want to spend the afternoon with. But every time he came on the page, I'm like, Isaac, you need to eat properly. Well, literally, like, you need to go to the doctor. Awful. Yeah, I'm like,
you're coughing up blood, man. Stop eating Taco Bell.
I'm like, I don't think you're gonna make it. Even if a killer doesn't get you, I'm like, you're not gonna make it because you're not well.
I know. He's eating that greasy pizza. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. You're always thinking of like, how I need to put the character through hell. Like, there's to be something. I was like, oh, his diet's crap, and he's got a sore stomach, and it's all, you chuck it all in, and then you're like, oh, maybe it's too much. Maybe this poor guy, like, he needs to have a good meal.
This is so unrelated, but we were talking about video games earlier before we started officially recording, and I was talking about Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order, and whenever Cal goes back to the ship, whenever I've got him moving around, I'm always thinking, I don't think I've seen this man eat. I'm like, he needs to eat. Like, he goes to the ship. I'm like, why are you not feeding him? He's feeding plants.
He's got like your 3D chess game and stuff. You can like do all stuff. But there's no kitchen. There's no toilet. He's not. And the guy's done a shit for about 2 months. He hasn't eaten anything.
This is how my favorite.
It's the midichlorians. It's the midichlorians coming in.
I always say this conversation goes off on a tangent, and this is evidence of the tangent of my own making, because I bought in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
I remember thinking that a lot, but it was Jack Bauer in 24, right? You're like, this is a full day in his life. When is he going to the bathroom? I have not seen Jack Bauer use the toilet or eat a meal once.
I don't think I had either.
I guess those ad breaks.
But I suppose this is a good thing about good TV and like how much it can influence you. Because I don't know if I mentioned it to you before. There was a TV series called Homicide: Life on the Streets.
Oh, yes, David Simon, right?
Yeah,
I've never seen it, but I've it's on my list to watch.
Oh, they're repeating it on Sky Atlantic right now, and I've watched it. Yeah, and I said I was young, so I think it came out like 92.
Yeah,
93,
before The Wire,
so,
wasn't it?
Way before The Wire. So I think I was watching it when I was like 15. 14,
was that
15.
a big influence on you?
Yeah, because it goes down, those pockets of darkness of being, let's say, the normality, and also, how banal, like, I suppose, just being a police officer investigating a case can be. You go in the office, you're drinking coffee, you're waiting, someone's having problems with their wife, but then within that time, you have those pockets of, now there's a killer, now something has happened, now we've got to deal with the witness, now we found the body.
I think it's interesting because, like, so many books and films and TV shows, they don't show you that kind of like the normality, the kind of boringness of the job.
No,
like an exciting. It's like, God, CSI is amazing. Like and the reality is, it's so boring being a CSI officer. Like you're just like, it's not like it is on the show. Like it is like you're slowly just working a crime scene, like bit by bit. Like it's not like you go in there and be like a montage. The crime scene's done in like 10 minutes. But like it's not like that at all. And so I think showing that kind of the banal reality of being a detective, that's good. I like that a lot. That's cool. Yeah, no,
so I would always recommend. And I remember I loved it so much, and I realised it was a book, and I went out and bought. I don't know how I even found the book.
I've got the book. I've not read that either, but I've got the book. Is it worth reading? Yeah,
it's worth a read, and it's worth a watch. And I think it's just it's good to just see how you incorporate like normality within the darkness, which I think is what you do, even though you go dark. Even though you go dark, you do things. There are rules. They say like there's rules that we shouldn't do as crime writers. I'm like, Tariq did it. Okay.
I hate the rules.
The rules are annoying.
Yeah, I know.
Well, the rules don't make any sense because I'm like, why? I got an email from someone saying to me, I really enjoyed your book. I'm so glad you didn't kill any animals. You didn't kill any dogs. And I said, literally, Olivier's kicked a cat. You haven't bothered said anything about that. And there's a head in a box.
The whole animal is nuts, right? Like as you said, you can do the most horrible stuff to people. No one cares.
Which you and I have both done.
I actually killed a dog in my second book, but the key is to do it in a book that no one reads. So fly under the radar.
That should not have made me laugh as much as it did. So make sure it flops, and you can just
make sure it flops. You can do as much horrible stuff as you want. It's fine. People only care if they read it.
Oh God! Right, Tariq, let me get on to your last set of questions.
Go for it.
Okay, are you an introvert or extrovert, or a hybrid of the two?
I got maybe a bit of a hybrid, to be honest, because I actually really enjoy like panels. I'll enjoy like talking to people and podcasts and stuff. It's great, but I really struggle with like promoting my own work, like self promotion. I hate going on to Twitter and like shouting about myself, like that kind of. I really struggle with that side of it. So I suppose introvert when it comes to like self-promotion, but like when it's chatting about stuff and it doesn't feel like you're doing promotion, I have no problem with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's not an easy thing to do, and it can feel really unnatural.
Yeah, it's exactly, it does.
And like you're forcing your way on people, you're forcing yourself on, not in that way, but you're forcing yourself on people.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're and I'm kind of like, do folk care? And I'm like, 6 weeks to go till blah blah. And I'm fucking like, shut up, Tariq. Like, so that's in my head. I've always got that voice of people like, fucking shut up, Tariq. Like that's just always there on repeat. So I'm like, I'll just leave it.
Well, even today, we're recording this on a Wednesday, and Tuesday, the episodes normally get released on a Tuesday, unless I do like a bonus episode, but it'll come out on a Tuesday. So I think Tuesdays you'll see that my social media there's a lot. So there's be stuff on Blue Sky, be stuff on Instagram. Where else do I put it? I think that's mainly it now. Threads. I'm not on Twitter. And even Substack, because they got a notes bit. And then today I was like, I'm not posting anything today. I just feel like people's had enough of me. They saw a lot of me yesterday.
And you read stuff like how to get, have success with on social media, and it's like you have to post like 4 or 5 times a day.
Oh my God.
I'm like, Jesus, that's like I feel folk would be, folk would be muting me. They'd be like, Jesus, like, that's enough, you know? So I'm lucky if I have 4 or 5 times a week, you know, so I don't use it enough to make any impact on anything, I don't think, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I always just say, you just find the platform that resonates with you the best, and then you just do what feels good for you. Right.
And as we said before, what can you do to shift the needle? Very little.
I don't, and opposed to annoy, what probably doesn't help is that, like, because I'm on YouTube a lot, because I've always got it on in the background, whatever's going on. Yeah. And you know what the algorithm's like. And yesterday, all I was getting was how to increase your followers on Substack, how to grow your Instagram, how you can do it in, you know, you just need to do these 4 things. I'm like, all you people, have you increased your followers?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's all the same advice. It's all the same crap.
Yeah. It's like a nonsense. It's nonsense. Yeah, Tariq and I cannot be asked. That's the short of it. Okay, so what challenge or experience, and I say it can be good or bad, what challenge or experience in your life shaped you the most?
For that, I probably do have to go back to the Arnie situation. I think that was a kind of pivotal moment for me in terms of getting that first book finished. I think I genuinely think if I hadn't had that kick up the arse from Arnie, I probably would never have finished the book when I had, and then trying to find agents. I remember I must have submitted to like 60 agents before I found one who took me on, and that's kind of soul destroying, just continually sending it out to people, you know, redrafting your cover letter, tweaking your line spacing for everyone's agent's got different like admission criteria. So I think I needed that, like, I need that kick to help me get like push through that kind of tough gate. So yeah,
there's always someone, isn't there?
There's always someone pushing you. Yeah,
because I remember even when because I was always writing. No, we were talking about earlier. Like, I was always writing on the side and stuff. And then it's only I did NaNoWriMo. And I think Remo, whatever it's called. I did it. Right. I did it 2014, I think. And I finished it for the first time. And I had this book. And I thought, actually, it's the first time. Actually, it was the second time I'd finished something, but it was the first time I'd actually thought, this could actually, people would actually want to read it. Yeah. And I self-published that. But then I was just floating along thinking, you know, nothing major's going to happen. I'll just carry on doing my job. And then it was only when I entered the competition and I won it. And then I was kind of, I have no choice but to finish the book, which was The Jigsaw Man. But even at that point, I was like, well, whatever happens, I'll just go back to carry on doing my job. But it was
had that push.
Yeah, one of my tutors.
Reason to keep going on, yeah.
Yeah, one of my he emailed me and he said, I assume you've got representation. I was like, what are you talking about? I haven't got representation for what? and I think it's only because I had that moment, and then there's someone else said, yeah, you'll get picked up on this book. So I thought, okay, maybe 2 or 3 people are saying it.
Yeah. That maybe kind of, it will starts happen. To become a real possibility. You think, actually, this is something I could do if I go for it. Yeah. I think you need that, don't you think? It's otherwise, I always kind of wonder, would I still write if I hadn't gotten published and stuff? Would I still be writing? I think I probably would, like, for the love of it, but there probably would come a point where if I knew I wasn't getting anywhere, I wonder if I would still go for it or not. I don't know. Yeah.
I literally had that same thought the other day. I think maybe I got my edits back from my editor. And I said to myself, if I hadn't done the course, if I hadn't won the competition, would I have still at some point even have ended up writing The Jigsaw Man? Did I need did that thing to happen? Or would it just been something I would have done doing on the side?
I think you're right. And it had to happen at that point in your life. And it had to happen when you were working on The Jigsaw Man. Like all those, there's so much luck involved in it, right? It's all stuff happening at the right point when you're working on the right book at the right time, and there's a gap in the market, and you know, an agent's not just signed someone similar, and a publisher's not just put out a similar book, and everything has to line up just right for that path to kind of click together. And then once you're in, it feels so much easier getting other books out there. Like you know, you realize, oh, this is the kind of books people are about. This is where the market's going. This is the trend. This is what they're after. You know, I feel like I know what I'm meant to be writing now. It's difficult when you don't really know what people are after, what's doing well, or what people want, I think, when you're first starting out.
Do you think that you have a better sense of the business of it now?
Oh, yeah.
Especially moving publishers and moving agents.
I think 100%. I think, and like, I feel like I've got a much better grasp of like what the market's like what kind of stuff does well, like, and I feel comfortable not trying to chase a trend, like knowing that there's like, peak trends peak and fall, and you never, by the time you get a book written and out there, it's never going to be in time and stuff. So I think knowing what to ignore and knowing what to focus on, like a general trend of what's up. Like I do feel like dark horror stuff's kind of having a moment a little bit now.
Yeah.
It's like people are loving kind of like horror books and stuff. So, and I feel that will probably last for like a good few years. So that's kind of okay. Whereas like, so I feel more comfortable knowing what publishers are looking for. Like, okay, you want like, so I'm writing a police kind of procedural for Amazon, and I know very much that's much more lighter, pacey, plot-driven stuff, and that's fine. It's quite fun doing that. Whereas I know like my Viper books, I'm hoping will be more dark and gritty and grimy and stuff. And I feel more comfortable knowing what different publishers are after and what they feel comfortable trying to sell and what people like to read, etc. So yeah, I think it does, but it takes a wee while to get. It takes a few years, I think, to get a grasp on like what the reality of the market is and the publishing world's like and stuff.
Yeah, but also on the flip side of that, the fact that you don't, if you were thinking about writing to trend, I don't think you would have written The Midnight King.
No, I wouldn't. I don't think. Yeah, I think you're right, because I think ultimately it always comes down to you've got to write the book that you want to read and you want to write that speaks to you in that moment. You've got to follow that, I think. Definitely.
Okay, so if you could go back to when you were 25 years old and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? I think I know.
Don't do. Actually, that is exactly it. Exactly. I would say you love writing, you love creating stuff. Follow that. Don't worry about what the job will be at the end. Go down. I'd love to like see a kind of like It's a Wonderful Life type possible life that would have been. Had I said I'm going to do creative writing at uni, and I'm going to do a creative writing master, some kind of creative writing course, and I'm going to see what happens at the end of it. And I think it's hard to say if it would have been better or not, because I think there's loads of folk who haven't done a creative writing course and they've done fine. But I always kind of think my day job might have ended up having been in a creative writing field of some kind.
Yeah.
And it might have been a job that I didn't even know existed when I first started it, but there would have been something. And would that have been better or worse? I don't know. But yeah, I kind of feel like I would have loved doing a creative writing course. I would have like genuinely loved the course itself way more than I loved doing science or law. And I always wonder what that would have been like if I'd followed that. I just see where life would have taken me. If I would have ended up writing the same stuff, if I would have gone down a different path, or who knows. But yeah, I would tell my kids now would be, I'd say, if there's something you love doing, like just do that at university. Don't worry about where the job will take you. Don't worry about like what you're going to do at the end of it. Just do what you love, and there will be jobs that exist in that area that you don't know exist now. And as long as you make enough money to have a nice living, that's all that really matters. So like, you'll find something in that area, but follow what you love and don't do a course or don't do a job for the wrong reasons, because you end up hating it. Yeah,
I think like that's why looking back, when I think about going back to that moment when I got my A-level results, and I did have that moment of, oh my God, my life is over.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
But looking back, I'm glad I didn't study law at uni, and I did history and I did American studies, because it was the stuff I was interested in, and I enjoyed my 3 years, and it was so varied, and it kind of it gave me a wider viewpoint that I wouldn't have got if I just studied straight law for 3 years.
Yeah. I'm also quite glad that I did law the second time around, because I feel I would have been too young for it the first time. I feel I wouldn't have. I don't know. I probably would have struggled with it more. I think I didn't have the grades for it, certainly first time around, straight from school. So yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? I think follow what you enjoy and just see what happens. I would say that's for sure.
All right, now here's my new question I like to ask now.
Right,
what is your non-writing tip for writers? So not the traditional, I don't know, use Scrivener. I don't know. It's a non-writing tip.
I would say I would say don't stress about the writing. Like, don't stress about the writing. I would say like don't give yourself like word counts and stuff. Like, don't worry about like hitting targets and goals, because you only feel crap if you don't hit them. Go out and like read stuff, read widely, read the books that you want to write about. Read the books in the kind of genre and the area that you want to write, but read other stuff as well, because like it's the inspiration and the ideas you get from other I try to read loads of non-crime novels or graphic novels and superhero stuff and everything, and the stuff that you end up pulling in subconsciously, I think, from non-crime books is massive. And like certainly like the dialogue in comic books, I feel is like it's so like rat-a-tat-tat, like it's really sparse, but like it gets everything across quickly, and and when it's done well, it's like it flows. It's like it flows with the visuals in a really kind of like nice, natural way. And I try to copy that sometimes, and to get that kind of same kind of back and forth on the page.
I've always said that I've learned the most about character development from comic books.
Oh, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you a villain's not just a villain.
Honestly,
they're born, they're created, they come from something has happened to them.
Like the number of times I use Thanos's arc in Infinity War as like a perfect, because like half the movie is spent on him. Like they spent half the movie fleshing him out. Like and you know exactly what his motivation is. He doesn't see himself as a villain. All that stuff, it's all there. Like he's a great villain because he thinks he's trying to do something good, and you totally get it. It's whereas most other Marvel villains in the films are quite like rushed. Like you get a bit of it, and then they're dead and it's over. But Thanos
dead.
Or locked up in prison. But Thanos is and then when it comes to the comic book stuff, as you say, like you spend years building up a baddie, like years, and the motivations and the betrayals and all that. It's like soap opera stuff on a massive cosmic scale sometimes, but it's great seeing this is how you build up a character. This is how you they're always trying to work out how you got someone like Peter Parker, Tony Stark, who've been around for like 50, 60 years, keeping them interesting and giving them new quirks and dynamics and new arcs and new revelations. It's if it's done well, it's amazing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I said story arcs also. It's like you have to maintain a story arc over how many issues, and sometimes it's cross issues, because you might have a Green Lantern issue and it's got a cross with. But it's just I love comics.
But it's when a good comic arc is done well like that, it's like, again, the amount of like planning and everything has to fall in the right place, and as you say with other comic books that are crossing over, it's just it's nuts. It's fantastic.
All right, so finally, Tariq and I on a podcast is not good news, because we're just chatting. Okay, so finally, Tariq, where can listeners of the conversation find you online?
So they can find me on Blue Sky, primarily. That's where I'm really at now. I am on Twitter, but I don't really post on Twitter anymore. Like I've restricted my account or whatever it is now, so I don't really use that anymore. I'm on Instagram technically, but again, don't really use that anymore. I feel like I don't know what I would post. I struggle with the visuals of Instagram, I think. But so Blue Sky really is where I'm at. That's my big one.
Are you excited?
Come find me there.
We'll find you. Are you excited for the Midnight King? I feel like I just need to show it up again. Yeah. Right way, that way.
Yeah, no, very much. Like it's funny because my first two books were with Amazon, who were great and gave him a whole start and stuff. But they were primarily of ebooks. There was print versions, but they were really pushing ebooks, and I was never in a store because obviously every high street store hates Amazon, and I kind of get the kind of animosity. That's fine. That's another thing. But this is my first time actually having a proper like hardback in a bookshop, so I'm super pumped to go and actually see it on a shelf.
Are you in supermarkets? Because we were talking about it.
I don't think so. No,
I reckon the paperback will be
too dark. My worry is that it's too dark. Maybe, which it's funny though. As you say, like I don't think I am the same as you. I don't really see it as too dark, but I can appreciate maybe we can compare it to other. I mean, though your books are pretty dark in your supermarkets, so.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a fair point.
I don't know how, but people like it. But a question. Oh God, we are going to go. But you've got an audio book.
Yes.
for Midnight King.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you listened to your audiobook?
So I just got like the MP3 files sent over the last week or so. So I've just started listening to it. So, yeah.
That's when you're going to hear the darkness, because I didn't appreciate the darkness of my books until I heard the audiobook. And because I think when you're hearing someone, and you got multiple characters as well, I say multiple point of views as well. So when you hear someone else,
that's good. Okay.
Yeah. When you hear someone else reading the words and putting their own inflections into it and emotion, you'll hear it, and you'll stop in your tracks and be like, oh yeah, it is dark.
This is disgusting. What is this film?
Who wrote this? Oh shit! I wrote this. Yeah, you'll hear it in the audiobook.
Okay. Because I've listened to like clips of it, but I've not listened. I've not got the actual full file yet. So I'm very intrigued to have a listen to it.
It happened to me. I just had it playing like on Alexa. It was just playing, and then I walked into my bedroom and I stopped and I was like, "Oh my god."
That is dark.
It's dark. Yeah, she's like, it is dark.
Okay, yeah, I can see that, because that you're kind of like, you've got the distance, right? You're not so close to it, and it's someone else reading it to you.
You need the distance from it, because when you're writing it, you know, it's like you spent months.
Oh, you're so close to it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can't see anything. You know who your characters are. You know how it ends, and then
Okay, right. That's cool. Right, I will listen to that. I'll listen to it. And,
listen to it and come back to me. If I'm wrong, say Nadine, you're talking rubbish. But if I'm right, you can say I can't even look at myself anymore now.
I'm sick of myself. I'm writing a comedy next.
Right, I want to end this. So that just leaves me to say, Tariq Ashkanani, thank you so much for being part of the conversation.
Thank you very much for having me. That was so much fun.
Thank you so much for listening to today's conversation with Nadine Matheson. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a brand new episode featuring more amazing guests. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a review. It really helps the podcast grow. And if you'd like to support the show, you can buy me a cup of coffee or sign up on Patreon. The links are in the show notes. And if you'd love to join the conversation as a guest, feel free to send an email to theconversation@nadinematheson.com. Thanks again for your support, and I'll catch you next time.